4 sacks allowed in this game seemed like uncharacteristically struggle of a game for the offensive line. What did you see from the breakdowns there?
Yeah, the breakdown was we had this is not pointing fingers. We didn't execute our plan well enough. We had two of the JJ's 2 sacks. We actually had a chance to double team them, and we missed the opportunities. We just didn't quite do what we should do on it. And the guy, and he's a good player, and he made plays. And his last game, gosh, if you're going to say he got us on 2, we still won the game. He got 2 sacks for his last game. Good for him. We tried not to give it to him, but he still got us. And it wasn't the one-on-one matchups that he won. It was chances that we had to kind of neutralize him, and we didn't take advantage of him. And he was still able to get to the quarterback. The other 2 sacks. I'm trying to think. I know the one was just they ran a good stunt on it, and then the other one, Brock scrambled backwards and probably could have thrown the ball away on that one where it didn't need to. So, yeah, but those things are always there's a bunch of games this year where I'll bet you Jimmy, even Brock, or even Trey, the first game avoided some. And then this one, you think you've got it locked down, and next thing you know, you give up 4 sacks, and it's the ebb and flow of the whole thing. So obviously, it's a big point of emphasis this week. You don't want that to start being a factor, because those sacks they take you out of drives, especially first and second down sacks. You got to be sure you can tighten up and make sure. And it was good. It was a good lesson for us to say, let's get this detailed up. When we say this, it means this, and we weren't quite on the details, and we missed those ops.
Obviously, you don't want to take your quarterback to take a 17-yard sack. Kyle said he probably knew exactly what happened when he hit the ground and Kyle was in his ear. What is Kyle like in the headset when he's talking to Brock after a play like that?
This is PG here, right? This is a PG-13 audience. Yeah, no, he's Kyle. Obviously, we all get animated on game day. No, he's great. He just he'll always tell the guy what he should have done, and he's just very straightforward with guys. The one thing about Kyle is very honest with the players and straightforward. And on game day, there's always a little bit of emotion behind it. But man, dude, you got to get rid of the ball. Dude, we can't take that kind of sack. That's a lot of field position that we're giving away that we possibly could back them up inside the 5 or 10 yard line, and we lose those 17 yards on a sack, and it's really hard to overcome.
How does Brock respond to that?
I think he's pretty good. You guys see Brock's demeanor. He's he's a pretty serious-minded guy, so sometimes you can't really tell what he's thinking. You can't tell if he's mad or if he's happy or what he is. So he seems to take it well. I think he's a pretty tough-minded kid and can handle tough coaching. But there's a lot, and no matter how tough you are, you're going through a lot every single day at that position. You're learning a lot. A lot falls on your shoulders. So sometimes it's hard. But these are lessons he has to learn. And we've talked about before. These are invaluable lessons when you go out on game day and you get to experience these things.
Game planned a lot for Pete Carroll's defense. What's challenging or unique about game planning against him in particular?
Well, they're just very, very, very sound, and they're well coached. So they're going to be where they're supposed to be. And then even when you know where they are and you go block them, you have a good play, you still got to block them. You still got to break a tackle. Guys got to break a tackle, or you got to finish them so they don't come off and make a play. I mean, they're well coached, not just in the scheme itself, but in then playing their techniques and fundamentals. And they're very, very good at doing it. And they've been through the years. Pete has always his defenses from back. I remember back when he was in New England. I mean, it's always been sound. It came from he and Monty Kiffin. Came from now the defenses, how they put the defense together has changed through the years as to what they're running, but the base fundamentals of how you stop the run and the gap control and the fits and how they do things has been so consistent through the years. And it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. You have to be on point with how you block them. It's not just enough to say, okay, we got a guy for him, a guy for him, a guy for him. It's not just having a guy for him. It's how you're going to get them blocked. Because they got some challenging guys with Al Woods back. He wasn't there the first game. They lost 90 in our game, but 97's back. I'm back and playing well. 93, the inside linebacker really lost their leading tackler. Those other 2 guys are really good special teams, have been good special teams players. They're 2 inside linebackers now, and they are good in space. They're hard to block. Special teams, right? They're in open areas. They're used to dealing with things. And so you have to get on them, and you have to work to finish, or it might look like, oh, there's a play that's going to break out. No, it's 5 yards. It's 4 yards. And then when you get through it, the whole thing is 6 at free safety. That guy makes sure he makes sure that that nothing gets through. The big run at the end of our last game, 6 was that's my first time at the podium. 6 was blitzing, and so they had a different guy in the middle of the field. So when our runner broke through, Mace, he was able to make that guy miss. Where if it was 6, I don't know if he would have or not. I hope he would have, and we would have had a big run to ice the game. Either way, it was a first down. But But it is that's what that defense is. And so you can imagine, even though the style of defense has changed, imagine back when it was the Legion of whatever they call it, boom, doom, whatever they are, boom. Yeah, they were. Then you have all these great players in every single position. And so they've gone through a little bit of transition, but these guys still play very, very sound. The fundamentals are there. Long answer, but I'm telling you, I have a ton of respect for Pete and the defenses that they've run through the years. And it just really makes you lock down and say, guys, I'm telling you, it's not just the normal this block or that block. You better be on your details.
Was Arizona the best so far at kind of attacking Brock up the middle to chase him? Because he's a shorter quarterback, and you want to take away that cleanness in the front of the pocket.
You know, they really didn't. I mean, that's what they did. It's what happened, but it was more just there was normal rushes. It wasn't like they had a scheme to attack Brock a certain way because they weren't doing a lot. It was just that what came free, what we didn't pick up, who got beat. It happened to be in that area. It wasn't around the corner. It was up the middle. But it wasn't like by design they were pouring three up the middle or all that. There wasn't a lot of pressure, actually. There was single backer dogs and a couple little things that they did in there that created some of it, but I don't think it was trying to force him to do one way or the other. The pressures came every other way or a different way.
Have you seen much of that?
Nope. No, it's been because I think there's a lot more right now with I don't know. I'm not on the other side of the ball, but the defense. But I think there's a lot more with who you got to cover and things like that. So I think there's a little bit more of I don't know. We're seeing. I don't know how to say it. It's just there's not as much of that right now. I think they're more concerned about just they run their 5-man rushes. They do what they do to come free. When they pressure, it's well thought out, hoping to get a guy free. But they have issues with covering our guys as well. So I think it's a little bit harder to just say we're going to sell out to make sure Purdy can't step up in the pocket, or if you think because he's shorter he can't see or whatever that might be. I think there's more to it with the coverage of our players and making sure that it won't matter what you're doing up the middle. If you can't cover, the ball's going to come out and a play is going to be made. So, but could be that we might see some of that at some point.
So he gets rid of the ball fast enough.
Oh, he's outstanding. He goes through his progressions really, really fast. He gets the ball out outstandingly and does a good job. And like everybody, he could be a little better on some. And some of them, it's amazing how he gets the ball out. That play he made against Miami to Kittle in his first game when he came in for Jimmy on a hot throw was unbelievable. It really turned the game for us. It was one of the better throws of the season that we've had this year from any quarterback. And he's got that in him. But he's still got to go through this. It's still the same thing. He's maybe a little late to this one, a little early to this one, didn't see this, scrambles when he shouldn't, all those things.
I don't think Elijah Mitchell's played the Seahawks yet this season. How nice is it to have him back for this game?
Oh, I love Elijah. Elijah's just such a physical runner. He just, the touchdown run he had where he, ran the guy over at the goal line or whatever it was, and he just does a great job with running the football. It's nice to have he and Christian. As we've talked about it here before, it's always nice to have two backs. And then you have 24 as well, get in there, 32 gets in there a little bit. We've got a nice, so now there's a rotation. You don't have to wear a guy out. A guy doesn't have to have 28 carries. Now he might because he's got the hot hand that day, but it's nice to have guys to roll through there. And it's a different style. You're gearing up to tackle Elijah, and then the next time it's Christian through the hole is not going to attack you the same way as Elijah does. And they all have a different skill set. So it's nice for us to be able to utilize them in different ways and also just in certain parts of the field. There's just a lot that goes into it, but it's nice to have those two guys. Really nice to have them back.
How do those guys work together to sort of counteract the old saying of a running back needs a certain number of carries to kind of get in a rhythm? It seems like you're able to put guys in and they are sharp right from the initial carry that they get. They're not having to feel their way through the game.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, I think that with our system, and again, Kyle has done such a great job through the years of how we coach the runners. So yes, there's a little bit of a feel, but it is not one game's different than another game. Our run game's our run game, and how we read it, how we key it, and what we do. Yeah, there might be a feel to how a defense is playing it that day, a little bit, but for the most part, they've seen that at some point during the year because everybody, even though the defensive structure may change, the techniques, how they play it, how they fit the runs, it's kind of consistent, or they've seen it somewhere, right? Miami does it like Chicago, does it like this team, and then there's another group of teams that kind of fit it the same way. So once you've seen it a few times, yeah, the backs may tell you that. I'm not a runner. Hey, I need a rhythm. I need this and that. But at the end of the day, the way we coach them, I think the guy can kind of rotate through and kind of pick right up where they left off. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.